Hello, and today we are going to go ahead and go through a quick process of moving assets around the scenes and kind of implementing them. And I want to sort of start over here with here's what we have. We have this little sign that I've made in Maya, and I've brought it over here into ZBrush. I have gone ahead and already textured it with, you can see the textures if I go back over here to Photoshop. Here's my signpost texture. And if we take a look inside of the images file, we can see that I made this little wood texture right here. I took that and I brought it on into ZBrush, and I used it as an alpha to color up all these little pieces and slats here, which is a pretty straightforward process. You just, like I've talked about in the past or in other videos, you can make, this is a very simple creation. Let's see here, woody texture, toony. Let that open up in Photoshop. Let's just drag it on in. You can see that was very straightforward. I made that just with some simple selection tools and just a couple of gradients of color to give it some variety when you bring it in, and then when you use it, it has a pretty good effect over here. It came out really nice. Definitely kind of almost has this Road Runner cartoony kind of look, which I'm enjoying on it. So if I'm in here, there's some other things I want to do to this texture, and I want to kind of talk about quickly making a little normal map and a well, probably a height map maybe, and a spec map on there, and I want to draw in something. Probably something like a danger or do not enter. I haven't quite figured that out. It's for the kobold layer, so there's like a little room, and there's like a bunch of things in that room, and the kobolds aren't supposed to go in there, so there's a guard guarding it. So that's the whole little story setup, or at least that's what's happening. I want to put like maybe even a little kobold head here with a little X through it or something. But I could add that at any time. I'll probably have to do that on another little layer here. But I don't want that to be part of my texture sets, right? So to start with, before I put that kind of paint on, I want to probably get my spec and my height and normal maps. So the normal map's going to be an easy one. All you need to do is go to filter, and they put this new they put these new generate normal maps and stuff in here. It's really nice. It works really well. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a normal map. And it'll ask some questions, but it's fine. Just continue. And it'll make a 3D setup here where it'll attempt to, yeah, there you go, right? So it's interpreting it. And this is actually pretty decent. I've been pretty impressed so far with the setup they have for this. That warning message is probably because of the file that I have in here. I believe it's just a bump map file, and that's what was exported out of, I think I exported that out of ZBrush as an OBJ, so it's got a bump map. Color profile doesn't match current RGB working space. It's fine. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the options here. Ooh, I don't want to do that. Let's do this. Here we go. You can kind of zoom in. It's a little awkward to use these, but it's not terrible. And then once you're in, you can kind of, I think that's almost too close to the edge there, to be honest. And they're both right on the edge. Hopefully that's not, I could see that being a slight problem. So you got the ability to blur it and tone it way down, which, you know, I don't particularly want to do. Detail scale could be a little less. And I feel like now we got some lows we can adjust. Mediums and highs, which is just talking about sort of these different little bits and tones. I'll just play with these usually. That looks pretty good. This is probably still a little too strong though. I don't want it to be like incredibly crisp, what have you. And I probably don't need to spend too much time on this. I'm just showing this as an example here. So if I hit OK, there we have it. We've got our bump map. I will go ahead and save as. I have on my own little signpost here. I'm going to save these out as PNGs. Signpost, normal. Save that. And then I'll want to come back in here and undo this. And I'm going to try and make a height map. This is more of an experiment, but it seems like it works pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a bump map. And I'm going to turn this into a height map just because it's got the right color range for it. I mean, it's a good starting place. It's a little dark right there. We can kind of get in there and really I'm going to focus on what this looks like in the background. So maybe soften that some with a blur. Maybe not. It's already kind of blurry. Detail up. Low. Oh yeah, a little fuzzier. Just trying to nail it down. You could just type in the percentages, would probably be good. 80. And 80 here, what happens? Yeah. And maybe that blur, what happens if we put that down to like a 1? Not a lot. What about a 5? What about 10? Yeah. Go back down to 1, should be fine. And let's go ahead and say okay to that. That might be a little too fuzzy, but I'm also going to apply a brightness and kind of up the brightness on that, and maybe increase the contrast some. Let's do one way and one the other just to test it. We can come back in here, so we might as well test this right now since it's here. Let's save as. Put that out as a PNG, and let's save that as a height map and see what we get. Now I'm going to go on back over to Maya, obviously, try to plug this in. I'm using Arnold renderer at this point. So there's a lot going on in this environment, and this one right here is my sort of my perspective camera. So I'm going to go ahead and import got a number of items here. I've kind of organized them into their own little folder, and I want the signpost. So I'm going to import this signpost OBJ. Let's see where it pops up. There it is. It's actually about the right size. Almost here. That's kind of nice. So let's put this down into the scene. I kind of use the upper guide to help me there. And I want this to sit in here. I'm just testing it. Let's make that a little bit bigger, just a little bit. There we go. Boop. There it is. Turn it a little so it's facing the camera a little bit more. Alright, so now I've got my sign, and I need to make a shader for it. I know it comes with a shader, but it's not going to be a mental ray shader. It's just a sign default post. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Arnold and make a standard. They have some little Arnold, so I just want the standard surface shader here. And we'll name that real quick. We'll name this sign shader, right? And we'll lay that out so we can see it. Actually, we need to lay all of it out because we will. All right, we're gonna need a file too. So let's grab real quick. Let's grab a file. New, probably just under normal file. Or whatever. Just do a 2D texture is fine. We'll just pop in a 2D texture. That's what I wanted. So this is going to be my height map to help that sign. So let's go ahead and apply a few things in here. I know it's a little tricky to see. I don't really tend to like this anyway. I like the attribute editor a little more. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop in the file here. It'll make the connection automatically. And I'm going to put, let's see here, source images. So there should be a, ooh, what did I say that out as? Signpost. But that signpost might actually be in my scenes because I was trying to gather everything together. That would be a bad place to put it. There they are. That's not where they should be. We shouldn't have those sitting there, but there they are. Let's move those though, because I don't want them in there. I want them to be in my source folder. So it's, I guess we can't move them yet. I'll have to fix it later, but these shouldn't sit here. Let's just see if it works though. Oops. Color. Right. And let's see if we can get kind of a render on that. It's not giving us anything in the render window. Probably because I need to refresh it. But I'm also just going to open up the render. So let's just apply that shader. Assign that material. And let's just go ahead and get an Arnold render out of it. So there's our sign. Alright, looking pretty okay. It's a little light, so that's probably the light. The diffuse is probably a little too strong on it. So we could probably up that if we keep this running. There we go. Kind of roughen up the diffuse nature of it so it's not pushing light through so much. Specular is pretty high at the moment, and we don't want that, so let's just kill that for the moment. Subsurface should be at 0, transmission should be at 0. Oh, I'm silly. You want to put it in the color, not in the weight. So that's my mistake. There we go. Let's do that. There we go. Perf. Silly me. That's why it wasn't showing. So now we can see that the signpost has its coloration. Might be able to push that default. That diffuse roughness could maybe go down a little again. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we have that. We also have a height map, which I really want to test on this. Let's make a spec map real quick, though, just so we can get that nailed down, right? So if we come back in here, we have this. Yeah, let's finish that, just because I have it in there so I can make adjustments. So here's the thing, is that for these objects, which we can select, by the way, through Arnold, it's really cool, we need to set the surface, Arnold surface, to have, cool. We need that to be set up for, close this. Subdivision Cat Clark, and you get iterations there. And we also have displacement attributes. We're going to attach those in here, right? So we're going to take our we're going to take this file, and we are going to go ahead and take that out color and attach it. Let me move it on up here to our displacement shader in here, right? Make a little connection. And I want to replace this. This needs to be our height map. And now, if we get a render here, that's a bit intense. Alright, so what we want to do in order to make this work is we can't just pop it in there. You have to up the iterations, for example, so this probably should be more like a, maybe even a 5. Let's double check the UVs here. I feel like good. UVs are good. Just checking. And the height is probably too much. So let's put that down to a 0.1. Shift it to linear. There we go. That's much better. So the difference between Cat Clark and linear is that Cat Clark will attempt to round edges, and linear will simply place an extra vert in the middle of polygons. So as you can see, in this case, linear gives us a much more reasonable render, and those, let's try 0.08. And let's take this down to 4 real quick. It's not too bad. It's giving it a definite interesting look, and it's really playing off of the parts that I really pushed, like these edges really pop out. I feel as though, again, this isn't an official height map. This was an experiment, but it feels like it's working, but it's also maybe a little strong. Let's see what happens if we were to tone back that brightness, contrast, and let's save out this one as a PNG height We'll call this one version 2. It's not bad. It's mostly doing what I want to do. I would probably get better results running this through Crazy Bump or something like that and outputting like an official height map. But I feel like I'm trying to show that Photoshop has a lot of capabilities to do a lot of these extra aspects, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and select that sign real quick. Go to the shader. Actually, it's probably faster just to select it in here. And we'll go to the height map and we'll replace it with that version 2. And oh. Let's see about making that 5 again and a 0.04. I can already tell that looks pretty good. That looks a lot closer to what I wanted. See, we had our aspects of wooden bumpiness on here. Yeah, shows up. There's a little bit of push on these other areas. That looks good. That looks really good. So, I feel like that's something that you can get with the, you just run a bump map. And it gives you kind of these and fuzz it up a little bit with a tiny bit of blur, but essentially you're kind of making your own little height map. Now, again, you're probably still better off running it through an official, like, map generator. But Photoshop can do a lot of this, so I still want to mess with the color map. I want to make a spec map, and again we can do that too. So I'm just going to go ahead and saturate and drop the saturation down, and then I'm going to go ahead and mess with the brightness contrast. We'll kick that contrast up and that brightness kind of down. Wood's not very shiny. I don't want it to be very shiny. But you still look at it and you go, well, there could be some shine. Could you bring out some shine on the edges maybe or something? Well, I found that the curves works really well for that. So if we bring in the curves, you're going to kind of pop in a couple options here. So I'm close to this. Right, and that might even be a little too strong still. So we can adjust the weight inside of Maya, though, is what I'm thinking here. So let's try it. So we have something a little more powerful if we want it. Set this to PNG. We'll set this up to spec, right? Name it spec. And let's see what happens when we pop that in here. I want to pause it just to save ourselves some adjustment period, but that's okay. So here's the specular, and here is the. Now with Arnold, I'm used to putting it into the color, but I think we want to put it into the weight as well. So let's go ahead and start with this. And to be honest, the color could probably be a slight tone. It would probably almost be better. So let's signpost spec. And sign shader, right? Let's pop the weight in there as well. As you can see, it's a bit of a workload on this computer. I'm working on a slightly older Dell Precision. Alright, yeah, I can already see there's bits of highlight showing up now. And if we kind of move, yeah, we're getting some nice little lighting effects on there. I feel like if we took this and we kind of tilted it this way, we're going to see more too out of it. Does that make more work for my computer? Chugging along here. But, there we go. Yeah, that's almost too shiny. You can see all that shine. It's a little too much. Let's freeze that. Alright, so so we do need to adjust the strength of that, because it's too much. Probably up the roughness actually. There we go. It'll decrease the shiny on there. And again, that color back here wouldn't be terrible if we went and added a slight color balance to it. So we want to maybe just add a little bit of warm, woodsy kind of tone. Right? And let's save this one. The thing I like about Arnold is everything seems to work how you'd expect. Unlike back in Mental Ray, when it felt like some things just were very unintuitive, and you plug things in and it would like glare at you. Let's do, this is the spec color. Alright. Oops. Didn't mean to save that as a PSD. Cancel that. I want to save that as a PNG. Or for something that's minor, it'd probably be okay. If it was just a bitmap or something to save me some space on my flash drive. Yes, this is all on my flash drive. Signpost, spec, color. So, yeah, that toned down that shine a little bit. Make it work for it. Alright. Arguably that's still too much shine, but I am biased. I like shine. Let's change the color again though. I'll change that to the spec color. It should warm up the shine a little bit. Yeah, you can see it's not, now it's a lot more, kind of got a little more red tone to it in there. That looks pretty good. It is a little too shiny. So that could be, we could take that roughness down to a 0.2 or something like that. Oh, what did I do? Oh, it went closer. Sorry, I meant 0.7 probably there. Let's see what that does. You can already see there's a lot less shine. There's still some. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. I don't mind a touch of shininess on there. If anything, maybe it's a little too bright. So we could maybe adjust that diffuse roughness now that there's shine and everything else on there. Maybe put it to 0.2 or something. Darken it up just a touch. So anyway, there you go. Render process comes out pretty okay. I feel as though a few things could maybe be tweaked a little bit more, but you know, maybe that roughness could be upped a bit more to like a 0.5 or something. Yeah, kind of lets some of the shine and everything. We don't really want to see the shine, but it does add more depth to the color. Light's not penetrating through as much or around it. And maybe upping the height on it a little more now. 0.08 again. Let's see what we get that with that. I find sometimes you gotta jiggle these a little. That is to say, like if I really want it to interpret a point, like a 0.1 or something, then I really should probably set this also. Do the iterations at the same time as the height to kind of get it to kind of go, oh yeah, right. You wanted to like revamp that a little bit, right? Because if you don't set both, sometimes you don't see the full changes being made. I don't know why. I feel like it's just like a little bit of a strange issue. But yeah, so, and there we go. That's the process that I go through for kind of setting these up and moving between the scenes and importing the files. And with a little bit of tweaking and adjustment, you can have a fairly decent set of objects with their, in Arnold, it's a height map, but in anything else, it'd be the normal map where you're kind of looking at it. I believe Arnold does have a normal mapping system, but the height map works really well. Let me go ahead and save, always be saving, and I should have earlier, but I didn't. So there, got all my settings. And yeah, so thanks for watching.